I am Sarah, a 30 years old entrepreneur. I came from a long line of business moguls. Growing up, I always savored a lifestyle of privileges from my family's wealth. However, it did not stop me from being humble and helping those in need. I have been married to Michael, the love of my life, for almost 10 years. The both of us live in a house that I built for us. This has been my lifelong dream, to own a home with my husband. Michael works in a retail company as a clerk. He was not able to finish college, which is why he ended up in low-paying jobs. And because of this, I am usually the one paying for the bills and everything. We are in a very loving relationship, but it started very unusually. Flashback to when our love story started. We were in our senior year in college. Michael was part of the football team, and I always had a crush on him. I always left food and gifts in his locker to show him I liked him. But I always ended up broken-hearted because either he gives the food away or throws the gifts in the garbage bin, in which I caught the act twice. However, one day as I was working on my thesis at the library, my college best friend, Hannah, who was taking up law, approached me.
Hey Sarah, did you know what happened?
The librarian shushed us as Hannah's voice was loud enough to be heard through the other side of the wing.
What happened?
I can see the concern and anxiousness in her eyes.
I just saw Michael dropping his subjects at the register.
My eyes widened. No way. Michael is one of the top students in our batch, and there's no way he will drop all his subjects when there is only 1 month before graduation.
Are you sure?
Yes, I am. I worked as a student assistant at the registrar's office, remember?
I was so shocked by what I discovered. Michael has been my crush since my first year, and I plan to confess to him during the graduation. How can I do that now?
Thank you for your information, Han. I feel sorry for him.
Later that day, I saw him in front of the gate. I can only cover encounters and none of them are successful, but I still shot my shot and moved towards him. I cleared my throat before I spoke to him and it caught his attention.
See.
He met my eyes and I could see the worries in him. My heart pounded so fast. This is the first time we had an eye contact.
I heard that you are dropping off. Is it true?
He sighed.
I guess news travels so fast. Yes, I am.
You are our batch valedictorian. Everyone is so shocked to hear that you will not make it until graduation. Everyone is sad about it, including me.
I ensured the last line was soft enough for him not to hear it.
I am sad about it as well. I did not ask for this, though. But it is a decision that I have to make. My father is in a critical condition because of cancer, and I must give up my studies to sustain our finances for his medical needs.
I am so sorry to hear that.
I feel awful for him. On the other hand, I am also happy because he opened up to me. So I comforted him.
If you need someone to rely on, I am here. Always.
I told him the most comforting words that I could say to him. He smiled. This was also the first time that he smiled at me.
Thank you, Sarah.
After that, his phone rang. As he answered it, I could feel the anxiety in his tone, and in just a few seconds he was already sobbing.
Are you okay? Is there something that I can help with?
He hung up, and he faced me with tears in his eyes.
My father needs to be transferred to the intensive care unit, but we do not have enough money. If he can't be transferred to the ICU within 2 days, we will lose him forever.
My heart hurts as I listen to him. I want to help him, so I will do my best to ease his burden.
How much do you need? I think I can lend you some money.
He was so shocked by what I said.
Sarah, it's a considerable amount.
I know. That's why I am helping you.
He was so hesitant at first, but afterwards he dropped the amount. Indeed, it was a considerable sum of money, but I want to help and let him feel I care for him and his family.
Okay, I will pay the bills.
His eyes widened in disbelief.
Are you sure? Thank you so much, Sarah.
He hugged me and it made me so happy. Days passed, and I frequently visited his dad at the hospital. Michael started to treat me differently. In fact, with more care as well. I spent most of my free time with Michael at the hospital. I often sat beside him in the waiting room, and I even went with him every time he bought some supplies. After a month, his dad finally recovered after being transferred to the ICU. I am so happy that I was one of the people that helped him.
Thank you so much for your help, Sarah.
Michael's mother thanked me. It is so lovely to be able to talk to his mother casually.
No problem, ma'am. Michael is my friend, and I want to help him.
That's the problem. I don't want you and Mike to be just friends.
My heart skipped a beat as she said it. What does she mean?
I want you to marry my son.
I never thought of what she said again. Not until Michael proposed to me all of a sudden. We did not date, and it was hard to believe that the man of my dreams was asking for my hand. I did not waste any time and accepted his proposal and said, yes.
After 10 years, we are currently in a happy relationship, and now we have 2 children. Also, my in-laws are living with us.
One day I just got home from a business meeting. I was shocked when I saw strange things and appliances inside my house. I asked the maids about random things.
Ma'am, Pauline bought it today, ma'am. She told us that you were the one who instructed us to buy all of those.
I am so confused. I never told her to do that. I am well aware of my resources, but I will never waste them on things we already have. That is complete nonsense.
She said that?
Yes, ma'am. She usually does this every week. Were you not aware of that?
What the— is this true? Is she using my money to hoard things? I cannot believe this. I quickly went to the master bedroom, and I saw my husband reading a book. This has been his usual routine right after he comes home. It's either he reads his book or complains about his low income. I hope tonight it's just the former.
Did your mom buy all the stuff outside?
Michael just nodded. I heaved a sigh. He was always like this. I could not even converse with him. Later that night, I was so intrigued by everything my mother-in-law bought. 12 big porcelain vases, 3 air coolers, 4 boxes of food, shoes, bags, and other things that I cannot even remember. Is she donating all that stuff? Looking at them, I can estimate the expense up to $100. That's why I followed my instincts and checked my bank account. I was so surprised when I saw my balance almost reaching its minimum limit. I lost nearly 90% of my money. That money is intended for the bills. I started to panic. I cannot believe she has been doing this behind my back for 10 years without me noticing. This is absurd. I reviewed all the transactions, and my hands were shaking rapidly as I discovered that they have been using my money to pay all their family debts. I wanted to collapse all the things that I recently learned. They are just treating me like a money machine. The next day, I confronted my mother-in-law and husband. They were at the coffee table talking to each other, so I headed towards them. I slammed the table and showed them my ATM card. My mother-in-law raised her eyebrows and looked at me with disbelief.
What is wrong with you?
Shouldn't I be the one asking that question? What is wrong with you?
Michael stood up and held me, calming me down.
Hey, calm down. Please don't talk to my mother that way.
I shrugged him off.
Have you been using my bank account all this time? Please answer me.
Don't accuse her.
I paid him no mind. I don't care if he defends his mother. What she did was wrong. She crossed the line.
Answer me.
She stood up and shouted at me.
Yes. What about it?
I was shocked by the way she responded.
You could have asked for permission. I was never greedy when it comes to money. I gave you everything, and in the first place, how did you even know about my PIN number?
Your husband gave it to me.
My jaw dropped. Michael, did he tell her? I turned to him and looked him in the eye.
Why?
Because my mother deserves everything.
I cannot believe this is happening.
I am your wife. It would help if you told me. I will give her what she deserves. Isn't that what I'm doing all this time? I work tirelessly day and night to provide for this family while you work unproductively.
My mother-in-law grabbed me and slapped me in the face.
How dare you speak to my son like that? You should be grateful to me. I was the one who initiated your marriage. If it weren't for me convincing Michael to marry you, then until now, you are still a hopeless romantic. And spending your money and using you to pay for our debts is the last thing you can do to compensate for my efforts. Don't be an ungrateful bitch.
She slapped me once again. The impact of her slaps left me speechless. I was covered in tears the entire time. I trusted them, and I was a fool for doing so. Weeks passed after that revelation, and my mother-in-law and Michael began to mistreat me daily, taking me for granted, and showing me no appreciation for my financial contributions. Weeks passed after that revelation, and my mother-in-law and Michael began to take me for granted and show no appreciation for my financial contributions. They forced me to surrender my card.
Give me your card, or else I will tell everyone that you blackmailed my son into marrying you. I can destroy you, Sarah, so stop being a brat and hand me your card.
With a fear of being abused again, I gave her my card. My heart breaks as I see her spending my money on nonsense things to flaunt it to her friends and prove that she is indeed wealthy when she has the poorest attitude. I cannot contain the aggression and cruelty that they're giving to me, and that is why I decided to leave the house together with my 2 children. We sneaked out of the house at midnight because I was pretty sure they won't allow us to get out of this house. Because what will happen to them without me? I am their money machine, remember? Hence, my children and I left the house, and by going, it means I am also relieving the responsibility of paying for the house rent and bills. We headed to my parents' mansion and stayed there for good. After they discovered that we had left the house, they started to panic. My husband kept on calling me and texting me asking us to come home, but I never answered him. Months passed and my mother-in-law did her best to contact me. I knew that the money in my bank account is declining, and they have not been paying the bills since we left because they have no other way to earn money. She sent me a letter containing harsh words and insults.
You are a greedy-ass woman. Do you think that you are wealthy enough to feel secure? I will ruin your life. I will hunt you down. I am giving you 3 days to return to this house and pay the fucking bills, because the landowner will confiscate the house. Follow my orders, or else you will regret disobeying them.
Instead of being scared, I just laughed at her letter. I can sense how angry and frustrated she was. After that, I immediately called the landowner, who happens to be my best friend and personal lawyer, Hannah. That is why I'm confident enough not to worry about the house.
Let's file a lawsuit against them.
Sure, Sarah. I will notify you as soon as possible.
After several days, my mother-in-law and husband received the court's orders, and they had no choice but to attend court. On that day, I saw my mother-in-law wearing my luxury clothes, and it was evident that she was fuming mad. During the trial, I presented evidence of the financial manipulation and mistreatment I endured, exposing my husband and mother-in-law's true intentions. I confidently spoke in front of everybody.
Your Honor, I have evidence to prove that my mother-in-law and husband have been using me for financial gain and mistreating me in the process.
I presented bank statements, receipts, and other documents showing unauthorized withdrawals and payments from my bank account. My mother-in-law started to panic as she could already sense her defeat.
These documents present a compelling case, Mrs. Pauline Anderson. It seems you have some explaining to do.
Everyone's attention was on my mother-in-law as they waited for her response.
These documents are edited.
Everyone laughed at her silly accusation, even the judge.
These are official documents with a seal to verify their authenticity, Mrs. Anderson. There is no way that she can falsify these accounts. You are guilty.
The judge pounded his gavel to justify his verdict. Due to the overwhelming evidence, the court rules in my favor, shaming my mother-in-law and Michael for their actions. And once again, with authority, the judge firmly said, "Mrs. Anderson, it is clear that you and your son have taken advantage of your daughter-in-law's generosity and trust. This behavior is unacceptable and will not be tolerated. You shall be held accountable for your actions." After hearing the decision, my mother-in-law and Michael hung their heads in shame as the judgment was pronounced.
As the trial concluded, she came towards me. I am so impressed by your bravery and for standing up for yourself. I believe you deserve more than justice. And because of that, I have decided to release the house to you as a gesture of support.
With tears in my eyes, I accepted the generous offer. However, Michael and Pauline, now in a desperate situation, came to me begging for help.
Sarah, please forgive us. Our greed blinded us and we took you for granted. We have nowhere else to go and no one else to turn to.
I looked at them with a mixture of empathy and determination.
I have spent years putting up with your mistreatment and manipulation. Now it's time for me to prioritize my well-being. It would help to find your way out of the mess you have created.
Having found my strength and independence with my children, I decided to move forward without being burdened by my husband and mother-in-law's toxic presence. I stood tall, having taken revenge by exposing their true intentions and securing my and my kids' futures. I learned to appreciate myself and find happiness in my newfound freedom and self-worth.